Hello and welcome back to the channel for a very special reaction first thoughts video. Yes, Doctor Who Flux, the Halloween Apocalypse, the opening instalments finished just about 5 minutes ago, and these are my first thoughts on the episode. Oh my goodness. So I think the best place to start with this is that, yes, it definitely exceeded my expectations. It was epic. It was awesome. It was just cataclysmic. It absolutely was. You know, Chris Chibnall wasn't lying when he said that some cataclysmic stuff was going to go down in this episode. The end of the universe, TARDIS getting destroyed, all that sort of stuff. But I think the place I want to begin with this is that it felt, particularly towards the end, when you had those shots of all the different characters we've been introduced to in sequence, in montage, it felt so much like an episode of Broadchurch, in particular like an opening episode of Broadchurch, where you've got the mystery, and then just before the cliffhanger, or sort of as the cliffhanger, you get your sort of roster or rogues gallery of suspects, all these potential people that could have done the deed. Obviously, slightly different thing here in that, you know, this isn't a whodunit, this is Doctor Who, but nevertheless, I love that that same sort of idea and format has been applied to the show, because obviously in this episode, as I think a lot of us predicted, lots of different plates were set up spinning, and just to roll through everything I can remember, we had this character Swarm, who was linked to the Division. Oh my goodness, the minute I saw those two soldiers, I was like, yep, they are Time Lords, they are Division agents. You could tell that from the armour and then from the guns as well they held. I think they were pretty similar to the gun that Gat had in Fugitive of the Jadoon. So that was immense, seeing him sort of get unleashed after being imprisoned for so long. I think the implication is that perhaps at some point in the past, in the Doctor's past, in her Division days, she was sort of guarding Swarm, keeping him prisoner. Perhaps she was even one of the women that we saw in that scene, the one with the short sort of blondie hair. Perhaps that's an incarnation of the Doctor from her pre-Hartnell days. But that was just immense. Then in addition to that, we had Joseph Williamson, I think before that, the whole thing with him in the Williamson tunnels. We still don't really know what all that is about. We saw him very briefly at the start of the episode, and then even more briefly right at the end as part of that montage. And that's still left hanging as to what purpose in the Doctor Who universe the Williamson tunnels had. You know, is Williamson working with an alien or an alien race or whatever? Is there some sort of alien purpose to this network of tunnels? Which in real life as well, if you don't know, there was sort of a question mark as to what their purpose was. So it's that thing of Doctor Who taking a real life mystery, real life urban myth, and putting its own spin on it. So we had that as well. Of course, we had our new companion Dan, but this was so unlike any other companion debut episode in the show's history that I can think of. He was just such a tiny part of it, really, and that makes it sound like I'm dissing the episode, but no, I loved the way they did it. I think it was really refreshing, actually, how we had a companion debut episode that wasn't all about the companion. And again, that sounds like a negative, but no, I think having the companion play a slightly smaller role, because we still get to see a lot of John Bishop as Dan, of course, but having them being a smaller cog, I think, in a bigger wheel, and having the Doctor meet them in a different way, you know, having the companion, I suppose, meet an alien first and then be rescued by the Doctor again, as lots of us predicted might happen, and meeting in Carvanista's spaceship. I just found that really refreshing, I think. You know, rather than just having them meet on Earth and battle an alien menace on Earth and whatever, someone that's come to Earth. We also got Rashenda Sandal's character, of course, Anna, who happened to be living in the Arctic Circle. That's where the Arctic Circle link came into it. It was mentioned in the synopsis. We didn't know anything else about it. I guess in hindsight we should have known from that image of her, which people, or at least I thought was like as a therapist character. We should have known from all the sort of the wooden sort of Scandi Norwegian type furniture in that room that yeah, perhaps that was where the Arctic Circle thing came in. It wasn't hugely obvious, but yeah, you know, so that was a real surprise as well when that segment happened. I think actually when that happened I thought, oh my god, is she a Time Lord? Is she a Doctor? And do we have a sort of Lee and Ruth scenario again from Fugitive of the Jadoon, where the Doctor's gone into hiding in the Arctic Circle with her companion or husband or whatever? And so I kind of thought that was happening, but then in the back of my mind as well, I think because of that thing about the cast list and Roshanna Sandal playing two characters, it would seem, or not indeed, it's two versions of the same character. I sort of cottoned on to that, and that was extremely exciting to see her sort of just turn from human form into the other half of what I think probably are the Ravagers. So one of them Swarm, one of them is Azure, this other character. And interestingly, they're not sort of husband and wife or anything like that. They're brother and sister, it would seem. That was incredibly interesting and incredibly exciting to watch. So then what else did we have? I'm trying to remember now. We had Vinder, of course. Vinder making his first appearance again, as I think a lot of people predicted. He was just playing a tiny role in the episode, really. He didn't meet the Doctor and Yaz and Dan. Indeed, he didn't meet any other characters. He was just there doing his own little solo thing. Presumably later in the series we're gonna meet him. Similar thing actually with this character Claire, played by Annabelle Scully. That was so interesting, having her just run up to the Doctor and Yaz on that Liverpool street and say, oh hi, I know you, you don't know me. Very Blink, like at the end of that story with Sally Sparrow handing the dossier to the 10th Doctor. But I can't quite get my head around how that's going to work. I mean, we're seeing her get sent back in time now, but she has, it would seem, had some prior encounter with the Weeping Angels. But then it's not that sort of thing of like Billy Shipton in Blink, where you have a character sent back in time and then grow old and then meet the other characters in the present, because she's not aged a day. So what's going on there? I think she said something about taking the long way home or something like that, which again would seem to suggest that she's lived through all these years. Perhaps she has, but her appearance hasn't changed as a consequence. So I guess that then throws into question, is she even human? Could she be a Time Lord or whatever? All very, very intriguing, and I loved that. I think that was one of my favourite bits of it, actually, that whole thing with her and the Weeping Angels, because there are just so many questions as to what that is all about, and no doubt we're going to get answers to that later in the series. I mean, to be honest, that last bit I've just said could apply to any of the plates that have been set spinning in the Halloween apocalypse. I've barely mentioned as well Carvanista, just briefly I suppose to mention him. That was great. I loved how expectations were sort of subverted with that character, how originally he was set up to be a baddie and then he turned out to be man's best friend, in his own words, that was quite a neat link with the whole dog thing that perhaps we should have seen coming. But nevertheless, I think it worked really well. I really enjoyed that, and the whole concept of the Lupari, I think it is, his race, who was sort of designated a human to keep safe and what have you. I'd have to go back to the episode to pick up the ins and outs of that, but there was something like that going on, I think, and that whole visual of the ships sort of interlocking and protecting the Earth, I thought that was very neat, because I think one thing actually that was said before this episode aired, one thing that was suggested is perhaps this cataclysmic event is going to be the destruction of Earth. And at that moment I was kind of thinking, oh, what if they've done the opposite? What if Earth is going to keep safe because it's protected and everything outside of Earth has been destroyed by the Flux? I mean, that's certainly possible, I think, from what we've seen. Maybe the whole series is going to be set on Earth. We know we've got period episodes coming up, like the Crimean War next week and stuff with the Weeping Angels and what have you. There is a missing planet, I think, called Metropos or something coming up next week as well. So perhaps that plays into that whole idea of the universe all being destroyed apart from Earth, and how is this planet still there? But there'll be lots more speculation and theories and stuff coming on this channel over the coming days and weeks about this episode, about the one after that, about the whole series. There is so much stuff going on here, and it very much does look like Christian has taken that slightly broad churchy approach of having all these different characters who are going to come across each other in various ways across these 6 episodes, not meet straight away necessarily. There's all this stuff that's been set up, and it's all going to sort of converge in the finale, I guess. Yeah, I think that's really great. I mean, just to go back to that very first thing I said, that whole idea of having a sort of broad churchy style montage at the end of all these characters, I just love it. I think, it's something that Doctor Who hasn't done before, and yeah, watching that was one of my favourite parts of the episode, I think, because watching that, I just got this real sense of the scale of this series and the shift in approach that they have taken. Again, you know, to bring in your other shows like Line of Duty or whatever, it has that feel of, okay, we've got all these different threads going and plates spinning and what have you, and we're not going to tell you all the answers straight away, but this stuff is going to be explored further in the coming weeks. You really do get that sense this time of that whole arc across the series, which again is something that Doctor Who has dabbled with in the past, you know, like Series 6 or whatever, but has never committed to, I think, quite as much as it has done here. So very, very exciting stuff. But I've been waffling on for over 10 minutes now, I think, so I'm going to bring this one to a close. I would love to hear your thoughts on this opening instalment in the comments below. I've barely checked Twitter or anything because I've just literally recorded this straight away, so I don't know what other people think of this, apart from a few sort of oh my gods that I saw going around right after the episode had finished. I think it has had a fairly positive reaction, but yeah, let me know in the comments below. Be part of that. Tell me what you thought. Tell me your theories. Tell me your predictions. Just put it all in the comments below. I would love to hear what you have to say. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe if you're new here, because there will be lots more Doctor Who Flux / Series 13 content coming on this channel over the coming days and weeks. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the episode and this video. And yeah, I'll see you very soon for some more Flux content, I'm sure. Goodbye for now, guys.